Have you ever paused and truly wondered, not just how we came to speak, but how the very concept of self, me, I, first emerged in human language?
Mm.
Or even just, why does that little letter I look the way it does? A simple line.
It seems so basic, doesn't it? But the story behind it might be incredibly deep.
Exactly. So today, we're taking this really incredible deep dive. We're embarking on a bit of an imaginative journey, actually,
Hmm.
into the origins of, well, maybe the most fundamental word we use, I.
Yeah.
And its surprising, really profound connection to water, to identity, and maybe to the very beginnings of human language itself.
It's a huge topic.
It is, and we're going to unpack a truly fascinating framework today. It's known as the Odam-Tilley theory.
Right.
Now, this isn't your standard linguistic theory you might find in a textbook. It's more like a symbolic language philosophy.
Right.
It's just this remarkable connection that sounds, letters, and our sort of primal interactions with the natural world are profoundly linked, inextricably even.
Yeah, it pushes back hard against the idea that language is just arbitrary, random symbols we all agreed on.
It really does. It challenges those assumptions. So our mission today is to extract the most insightful bits from this theory, follow this really captivating narrative it presents.
And hopefully find some aha moments along the way.
Yes, some moments that might change how you think about your own identity and maybe even the words you use every single day.
Sounds fascinating. Where do we start?
Okay, let's set the scene. Can you imagine the ancient world? I mean, long, long before any polished bronze, certainly before glass mirrors existed.
Right. No selfies back then.
Huh. Definitely not. We take mirrors completely for granted today, don't we? But back then, if you wanted to see your own reflection, there was really only one place to look.
Still water?
Still water, exactly. Rivers, ponds, lakes.
Oh.
These weren't just, geographical features. They must have held immense symbolic psychological power for early humans, that first sight of oneself.
Absolutely. And that's really where the Odam-Tilley theory grounds itself, in that kind of elemental human experience.
Oh, okay.
It really pushes back, as I said, against that idea of arbitrary words. It suggests letters, words, they evolved directly from natural sounds, maybe from shapes people saw, and from our instinctive responses to the world.
So not just practical tools, but born from feeling and experience.
Exactly. Especially through interaction with fundamental natural forces like water. Language, in this view, it emerges from these profound, almost spiritual encounters.
Okay, so let's dive into the core narrative then. As interpreted through Odam-Tilley, it tells this story. It begins with two figures, a Turkic elder and an early English-speaking man.
Interesting pairing.
Isn't it? So picture this scene. The Turk invites the Englishman down to a river. Now, in many Turkic dialects, a river or a stream is called soy, or sometimes say.
Hoy, say.
And crucially, in this theory, soy isn't just water, it's deeply symbolic. It represents both the source of reflection, the mirror, and incredibly, the source of speech itself.
Wow, okay, so the river reflects you, but also speaks in a way.
That seems to be the idea. Like the reflection enables the speech or the self-awareness needed for it. So they're standing there at the water's edge. The Turk, with this significant gesture, he says, say.
Say, like the river's name.
Exactly. He encourages the Englishman to look down. And in that moment, for the very first time in his life, the Englishman gazes into the river and sees his own face staring back at him.
Oh, wow.
Can you even begin to grasp the weight of that? Never having seen yourself before.
It's almost impossible for us to truly comprehend, isn't it, with mirrors everywhere now, that moment of realization.
Yeah.
For a human being never having conceptualized their own distinct visual form to suddenly be confronted with it. The theory posits this as the absolute moment of self-recognition.
The birth of the individual self, in a way.
Precisely. He's never seen this unique shape before. He's startled, amazed, maybe utterly bewildered. But suddenly, he understands. I have a form. I have a shape. I have an identity, separate from the trees, the water, the elder next to him.
That is profound.
In that singular instant, the concept of the individual self crystallizes within him. It's a foundational psychological event.
And this is where the theory gets really ingenious, connecting that visual shock, that self-recognition, directly to language. The Turk then emphasizes the sound within the word say. That I sound.
Ah, the I sound in English.
Exactly. It's like he's prompting the Englishman,
Yeah.
guiding him to give voice to this primal realization.
Yes, and this I sound, according to Odam-Tilley, is absolutely foundational. It's not just that it sounds like the word I the organ you're using to see yourself.
Right, the connection is right there.
But it becomes immediately symbolic of self-identity. That sound is the recognition.
And does the theory suggest this is just an English thing or broader?
Well, it hints at broader, possibly universal roots. It points to, for example, the Spanish pronoun for I, which is yo, pronounced Joe or you. The theory suggests this mirrors a kind of deeper Turkic oi sound, evolving into yo, hinting at a shared cognitive linguistic pathway for self-reference across different language families.
So a common human experience possibly leading to similar sounds for self.
That's the implication. A beautiful thought, really. This echo across cultures originating from such a fundamental experience.
Okay, so back to the Englishman by the river. He's had this profound identity-defining moment. He's heard this emphasized I sound. What happens next?
Instinctively, apparently, overwhelmed by this experience, he reaches down, maybe into the mud or sand by the river, and he draws something.
What does he draw?
A single, straight, vertical line.
It's the line, like the letter I.
Exactly like the letter I. And this line, simple as it seems, is packed with meaning in this theory. It represents his upright form, his body standing there, distinct, recognizing itself before the water.
Like a symbol of his own posture, his spine.
Precisely. Standing tall, recognizing oneself as an individual entity. And so, according to this interpretation, the letter I was born. It visually resembles the upright human figure, and phonetically, it echoes that moment of surprised awareness, that primal sound, I.
Wow. It's an emblem of self, born from sight, sound, and shape.
All coming together in that one moment by the water.
So let's just quickly recap these connections within the Odam-Tilly framework, because it's quite a web.
Well, let's pull it together.
We've got say, or soy, the Turkic word for the river.
Right.
That's the first mirror, and also the source of speech itself in this view.
Right. The setting and the catalyst.
Then there's I, that vocal exclamation, the sound symbolizing the sudden awareness, the recognition.
The sound of realization.
And I, the organ doing the seeing, confirming the identity, which happened to be pronounced I.
A convenient or perhaps meaningful coincidence.
And finally I, the letter itself, the symbol, representing the upright human form, individual identity, and that first spark of self-recognition. And the Turkic role in this story is presented as a kind of ancient guide, a teacher helping uncover these sounds and shapes rooted in nature.
It really paints a complete symbolic picture, doesn't it?
It does.
And it's important to remember, this isn't just being presented as, a quaint folk tale.
Right.
Within the Odam-Tilly theory, this story serves as a powerful window, a way to understand how language might have developed, not just for, say, labeling things or giving commands.
Utility.
Exactly. But through these deep, emotional, perceptual encounters with the natural world itself. The theory basically argues that every letter might have a similar origin story born from a natural movement, a shape, an elemental sound.
It completely reframes language as something deeply, fundamentally human and tied to our experience of being in the world.
Yes, tied to our primal experience.
So, okay, wrapping this up. What does this deep dive really leave us with? We've seen how that maybe profound, singular moment of seeing oneself for the first time in water, how that symbolic sound, I, and the simple visual of the upright human form, how they could all converge, flow together to give birth to maybe the most fundamental pronoun we have, I.
The river soy, the sound, I, the symbol, I, all flowing together.
Exactly. It's a story about the emergence of the word, sure, but maybe more deeply, about the emergence of how we even conceive of ourselves as individuals.
It certainly makes you think differently about that simple letter.
It does. And it leaves us with a final thought, perhaps something provocative for you, the listener, to mull over.
Okay.
If the very concept of I, our core sense of individual self, if it truly is rooted so deeply in an ancient elemental encounter with nature, specifically with water, what does that suggest about how intertwined our personal identity still is, perhaps unconsciously, with the natural world around us today?
That's a powerful question. Does that connection still resonate within us, even if we've forgotten the origin story?
Right. And if I hold such a surprising primal narrative, what other everyday words we use without a second thought, might hold similar forgotten tales? Tales of humanity's early, profound relationship with its environment, hidden in plain sight within our language.
It suggests language isn't just a tool, but maybe a kind of living record of our collective human experience, full of hidden meanings waiting to be rediscovered. Makes you want to look closer at every word, doesn't it?